Selena, this is a pretty damning lawsuit, and Facebook has reacted quite strongly to it, saying that they're very disappointed.
It's definitely caught Facebook off guard. Just last week, they actually settled several lawsuits with civil rights groups like the ACLU, the Fair Housing Alliance, saying that they were going to overhaul their ad platform so that advertisers of housing or employment-related ads would not be able to do this sort of micro-targeting on the basis of areas like gender and sex. Now, HUD is arguing that that doesn't go far enough, and they're charging that Facebook still allows these discriminatory ads to exist. They even allege that there was the ability for advertisers to target based on where they lived by drawing a red line around these areas. Also alleging that Facebook uses online data as well as offline data to able to figure out with machine learning what these characteristics of these people are based on these protected groups, like on the basis of race, gender, sex, even if they're not explicitly allowed to target those groups.
Now, Facebook's statement, we're surprised by HUD's decision as we've been working with them to address their concerns and have taken significant steps to prevent ads discrimination. Last year, we eliminated thousands of targeting options that could potentially be misused. We're disappointed by today's developments, but we'll continue working with civil rights experts on these issues. By the way, Naomi, Facebook a couple of weeks ago actually changed a bunch of their ad targeting practices because of complaints around these issues. They say they worked with civil rights groups to make those changes, which is part of the reason Facebook seems to be so caught off guard. Why is the HUD taking this action?
Well, I think it's just, another symptom of Washington regulators continuing to ask questions about the social media companies' targeted advertising policies. House Democrats, now that they've taken control of the House, have made it clear that they are intending to seek more answers to questions about whether targeted advertising on Facebook and other social media companies, is discriminating against minority communities. And so I think it's clear that Washington, as the HUD secretary made it clear in this move, but Washington in general, is putting the heat on Facebook around this issue.
When you look a little bit more closely, Selena, at the categories that advertisers were allowed to tick or not tick, parents, non-American, non-Christian, interested in accessibility and Hispanic culture. It's interesting thinking about sort of what was going into these product decisions, ad product decisions by Facebook, and why they thought this was a good idea.
And it's also interesting because these policies are only as good as their enforcements, and Facebook isn't required to hand over their algorithms. So clearly there was some sort of data mechanism going on that told them these are interesting targeted groups that would actually be very beneficial to advertisers and get them more clicks. So clearly there's a reason why they picked those groups. But if anybody goes online,
you can also exclude those groups by not targeting.
And if you go online to Facebook right now, anybody can try and make an ad. You'll see that there are dozens and dozens of different behavioral, educational, income categories that anybody can pick. And so the trust is being put upon Facebook that if you are doing a housing, credit, or employment-related ad, that their algorithms and humans are going to be able to catch that. But it's unclear whether or not it's going to be as effective as they say it will be.
All right. The government has also reached out to Google and Twitter about their ad targeting practices. We've got a statement from Google saying, we've had policies in place for many years that prohibit targeting ads on the basis of sensitive categories like race, ethnicity, religious beliefs, disability status, negative financial standing, etc. Our policies are designed to protect users and ensure advertisers are using our platforms in a responsible manner. Naomi, is there any indication that Google's targeting practices are vastly different from Facebook, or how the government may proceed in these other two cases?
Well, I think it's clear that, Google says it's not discriminating in the same way. But it's clear that, Google hasn't also been as open with its algorithms and the behind-the-scenes mechanism it uses to determine its advertising. And more access to that kind of information has been a top concern here in Washington. And so I think it remains to be seen whether there are ways that Google isn't certifying internally that those advertisements are compliant with housing discrimination law.